Hey guys, Rinji here, once again bringing you the worst out of the VTuber community. And as I say time and time again, VTuber drama in the so-called VTuber community is a cycle. Today is one of those cycle moments, so to speak. As people complain, why aren't there brown-skinned and darker-skinned corpo VTubers? And what's up with that? And this time around, we're gonna go into some very, very weird arguments that constitute not only reaches, but also stretches of logic. So let's get right into that. Wow, I'd personally pay to see a brown-skinned or darker corpo VTuber, cause what the fuck? At this point, the shit feels intentional. How do you as a company not notice the visible lack of diversity on your roster? As a company, why would you not try to fill that gap? Well, before we get into the rest of this, let me answer you why. Because the color of the skin of the model is the last thing people think about. It's all about the merit of the performer behind the VTuber. What can they do? Can they sing? Can they draw? What are the entertainment factors that define them? The skin color is only something identity politics people think about, and we're gonna see a lot of those as we go more into this thread. So let's take a look. Like, you would quite literally be the first to do it, and as long as you don't make it about the person being brown, you could tap it into very lucrative audience. Like, what the fuck do you all talk about when hiring talent or creating designs? Well, not that. Again, it's the skill sets. It's not about anything else. The design, as cute as it is, as impactful as it may be, is just a part of it. Like, I know it's all about personality, but the visuals generally getting repetitive. You all not bored? But all of the corporate VTubers are unique in their own right, especially from the bigger ones. There's like, I wouldn't say there is even some kind of repetition going on there. They try to make them all distinct and original. You know, the thing you learn about character designs in school and from people that generally know what they're doing with this is that you can identify a good character design by the silhouette alone. And if you're even a casual VTuber fan, even if you heard just a bit about these evil corporate VTubers that don't have dark skin models, is that even with all of the highlights missing, even with just a black silhouette, you would be likely be able to identify them. That's how good the designers are on that part of it. Let's continue on. I'm still on this because I'm genuinely baffling. The amount of online content you need to consume to make a successful VTuber. Not a single corpo has thought. Let's try not to go for a richer skin tone. Nothing past 335. You don't find that weird. You'll soon find out that you're wrong. But even when you do find out that you're wrong, you're still upset about it. What happened? Nothing. Oh, okay, thought someone did racism again. Oh, Diesel, I'll eventually get to you. You'll have your own stream. And then we'll see what you did. But that's just to the side. It's just a little preview of things to come. I was just thinking about that. Like, seriously, the darkest skin tone I saw from a corporate VTuber was Sana from Hololive. And she was just tan. And then her VA had health issues and couldn't keep up with the demanding schedule, so now there's no one. Meanwhile, there's the same companies have no problem co-opting aspects of black culture and selling it to their audience. But that goes into the deeper issues of Japan and being isolated from American black culture outside of what gets exported by American media. Yet those companies want to cater to an in fan base, and yet they can't show the diversity that comes with it. The Anthony Ian branches Judge JP+. It's sad and pathetic, and I doubt anything will change unless POC agency starts up and starts actually showing off the AN VTubers as they are. Well, they are a business, and the lighter the skin, the better the profit in most cases. It's just how companies will always be. There are a handful of dark-skinned VTubers, but I don't think they will be automatically black. Mind you, if you remember the beginning of this thread, this person said darker-skinned VTubers. They didn't necessarily say black VTubers, so this whole conversation is just shifting into something completely different. They want what they would probably describe as ethnic black people. You know, with features that racists would say describe a black person. In a lot of cases, it would be probably tokenism, but you know, we'll get into that too. They don't care to pander to a small crowd. There are dark/brown skin presenting corpo VTubers. Please say where, cause that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about indie, so please don't mention them. They already graduated from my knowledge, but they were from Hololive / Holostars, surprisingly. And did pretty good on the charts too. Generally, we need more of them. And there's Sana from Hololive Council, and there's Olga from Holostars. Have nothing nice to say, respectfully. If they are not currently VTubing super respectfully, I do not care. I also have no interest in Tan. Yeah, okay, the guy is whatever. Oh, so now you don't care, even though, again, you started this thread with darker skinned VTubers. But now you just want something else entirely. Then you just don't care. They're not dark skinned in the way you want them to be. I said brown specifically because of these two. I know they existed. Again, not being mean, not trying to dismiss you, but bringing them up adds to the frustration, because what impact did they leave behind? Oh, Sana left quite a big impact when she graduated, so it only shows how much you know. Main, I don't know. She's putting my input. I know it's a bit frustrating, but there's not much we can do. They don't want to pander to us. I just thought you didn't know about the Holo VTubers, but unless a small corpo decides to release one, we won't be getting one. And as for impact, I think there's definitely proof that our skin color can thrive in a big corpo, but nothing else really. See, this is a problem. I'll go on another tangent before we continue. They reduce everything to skin color. Like, imagine you're this black dude, like you're a VTuber fan that wants to be a VTuber, you just want to entertain people, and you encounter these fools. They reduce you to your skin color. They don't care about your skill sets. They don't care if you're entertaining or not. It just so happens that you have a black skin model or you're a black person behind the VTuber model. That's all that matters to them. Representation for the sake of representation. Tokenism. They want that kind of representation. They don't give a shit about anything else. Instead of, you know, just enjoying VTubers for what they are, not even looking at the skin color, just looking if they're entertaining, just looking if, you know, they provide you what you want. That's not skin color. They just instead do this. It's highly disappointing and I would say reductive. Racist even. It's okay. I know we were contributing. And then aside from boycotting and / or getting the talents to speak up, both fucking stupidly difficult for some reason. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything changing in the coming year either. So you want to boycott them for that now, and you want the talents to speak up because apparently this is a big wrong on the black VTuber community. Or is it? Let's continue. Like, you think they would consider as a big platform how much attention one of them would get for having actual diversity in their constant cast of characters? But nope, not at all. This is all I'm trying to say. I think it's more that 1, they don't care. 2, there's no consequences for not caring. 3, cool Japan's marketing is based on pandering to white audiences to distract from problems of like colorism. Yes, this is why they do that. This is the reason why all of these VTubers that you see are light-skinned. It's just a deflection from their racism. Holy shit, dude. And he goes on, makes even more ridiculous arguments. And I'm heavy on the lack of consequences because there's not enough uproar in the community concerning it due to toxic positivity. And folks will still watch/buy from a company that excludes them because they think it helps the streamer. Not quite how contracts work. Yeah, you probably know a lot about these Hololive, these Nijisanji contracts. Let's not talk about Nijisanji here. Let's talk about a good example of Hololive contracts, which, you know, aren't public. You can just kind of infer what's in them for the most part. And sometimes, you know, the VTubers themselves say how much they get, how much of a cut they get from specific things. But this guy talks like he knows his shit. He doesn't. Spoilers. I know this, you know this, we know this, but I'm genuinely tired of putting the burden of change on the consumer anymore. I'm particularly frustrated over it today, so I'm screaming into the void. Well, I happen to be a dweller of that void, and I've seen it. I say the burden is on us because we have leverage and more flexibility. I would love for corp VTubers to go on strike, which would have more immediate consequences and be more effective, since the company demands on their labor to thrive. But one, they're not unionized. Yeah, they're gonna be striking because there's no dark-skinned VTubers in the company, and that's, you know, a huge injustice. Once again, the biggest problem you can find. Let's continue. We clearly have no leverage, or it would have changed. It's not even a moral or ethical thing anymore. Well, you're trying to impose your will on them. It's highly immoral, I would say, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Let's move on. They're just full of snubbing the market for whatever reason. That's where my frustration is. To be for real, you lack leverage because all I've seen is complaining, but no mass organized efforts for change. The response to these problems are often individualistic, like make your own and whatnot. I think there are better ways. Why don't you make your own? Is that a problem? Let's see what better ways this person would like to bring up. 2, their contracts are predatory, so there may be busts for that. 3, there's a lot of political neutrality. Racism! You know, that stance where you're politically neutral means that you're racist. In those spaces side up, they care. The burden is on the consumer because we have lower stakes, but still some leverage due to fan contributions. I definitely don't like burdening consumers. Well, yeah, you'd rather burden the whole company and the innocent people that work on it and call them racist. That's the same thing that comes from your arguments. When it comes to corporate problems, because most industries don't work that way, but VTubing is different. I think that should be try to organize some way to get what we want due to the power we as fans do have. Yes, force it. Force it. Make forceful changes. People will love you for that. Change doesn't come from forcing it. It comes from people accepting it over time. It becomes the buzzword that you people like to use, normalized. It becomes normal because people learn to accept it. No one will ever want to accept what you want them to do if you try to force them to do it. It just doesn't work that way. It just works against human nature. Let's move on. Net is too wide and full of bad actors. That's the problem. We literally cannot convince the world as is that colorism is a problem. This cannot be a consumers-led change, and because this is an international game, talent is run differently. That's one of the things I agree, sans the colorism thing. We should start a labor union movement amongst VTubers and use that worker leverage to push for more visual inclusion. Yes, that always works for the best. It hasn't ruined every single fucking piece of media. Where you create characters that are nothings, that are in some cases racist caricatures, because instead of writing real people, you write tokens. This is a person that's of Asian descent. This is a person that's of African descent, and that's all they are. And sometimes they even remind you that they aren't heterosexual, because that's also an important thing for people to understand, so people know that this particular character doesn't want to fuck a particular gender or not. It has become so superficial. Everything is so superficial. Depth, which they think this is depth, is just completely missing from the equation. It's so disappointing to see. Moving on. We just need to form connections within the corporate worker base and form mutual aid funds to pay for accommodations and legal expenses. Holy shit, dude. What you're trying to do is just, you know, you're speaking the silent part aloud. You just want to infiltrate and destroy from the inside. You're not interested in any kind of inclusion. This is just forceful shit. What else could it be? And finally, the difficult level of this is genuinely insane, seeing as actors can't even get the level of support unless they are pulling box office billions. So this just comes off as wishful planning. I'm sorry, what actors are doing that? The US Actors Guild is literally on strike because actors at most made millions. At most, oh no, those poor fucking actors. And hasn't been a thing since the mid-2010s, before streaming contracts. Like Maris, I understand you're frustrated with the conditions of the medium. You may not be familiar with the strikes we have over here, but actors on average are really not bowling. They're using union fees and mutual aid and donations to keep operations afloat. Yeah, and that's it. You've seen openly what they want and how they want it. They don't want it through acceptance. People would easily accept a darker skinned VTuber. There's would be no problem. It's people like you, and by people like you, I mean people that once again want to create tokens. You don't want real characters, you don't want real personalities. You just want the superficial outside look of everything. That's about it. Once again, instead of caring for the merit behind the person, behind the VTuber, you care for something that's the least important thing when it comes to, you know, being a human, without being too deep about it. The fucking skin color a person is born with. And that's so disappointing to see that these particular mindsets are so prominent online. And, you know, when you try to challenge them, they're labeled as racist. And it will just continue going on further and further more. And we'll go in a cycle, as it is with VTuber drama. But yeah, for right now, that's everything. And I do hope to see you on the next one.